That's right, folks. It's Sunday, and it's another Start Sit show on the Razzball Fantasy YouTube channel. This one's a special one, folks. Not only do we have a quad box full of just great characters to help you with your Start Sit questions, but it's the fantasy freaking playoffs. Yesterday, I'm on the couch watching Chase McLaughlin drop bombs. I'm losing my mind screaming, "Let's go" to a kicker. And that's what the fantasy playoffs are all about. Before we get into our Start Sit show and get to your questions today, and I bring on my guests, make sure you follow us across the board at Razzball Fantasy. Jump on here right now, subscribe, hit a like, leave a comment, leave your Start Sit questions. We'll be here the rest of the season and all off season long on our YouTube channel. Also, we have IG and TikTok. You'll go for daily content during the week. We also have Twitter at Razzball, but also make sure you go to razzball.com. We have great resources and tools to help you win your fantasy league. If you need slot versus wide points per game allowed, we got it. We have adjusted line yards, matchup metrics for your running backs. We have great articles all week long as well. And plus, we do baseball, hockey, and soccer. Well, we don't do soccer. I mean, it's the World Cup. I got World Cup fever. We do basketball. I'm sorry. I mean, we should do World Cup soccer at this point. Get on it, Razzball. Anyway, let's get, and then today, of course, we do our Sunday live show. Let's get started. Let's have a great day. All right, bringing in the first one today. It's my right-hand woman. It's Gladys L. Tyler. You can follow her at Gladys L. Tyler on Twitter. What's going on, Gladys? Tell me what you're looking most. What are you looking most for in the first week of the fantasy playoffs?
Okay, so I'm playing in 2 leagues, and the one league I had JT, so I am looking. Yeah. Oh, I had JT and Alex Pierce on the same team. And it was a little painful, but you know what? That's why they have drugs.
By the way, that is a fact.
So I'm looking for I need the Tampa Bay game to be a shootout. I'm looking for that Tampa Bay game to be a shootout. Looking for Tom Brady and Mike Evans to get their heads out of their asses and make some connection. Because I'm right now, when you go into this kind of situation, you just shoot for the fences, baby. I'm going high ceiling, and come through for me. So that's what I'm looking for. High ceiling people.
Bruce Arians, no risk it, no biscuit. I like it. All right, bringing on my second guest today. It's Matthew Styles. You can follow him at Matt Styles. Come on, Styles08 on Twitter. Matt, always a pleasure, Captain. How you doing?
I'm good. What's in the cup today?
Just coffee, but I am going to be drinking today. I'm celebrating fantasy playoffs. I love this shit. So I'm excited. So, Matt, what are you looking forward to today? What do you got on the line? What players? What do you got going on?
I want to find out what the current buy it now price on an extra large Chase McLaughlin Colts jersey is.
Dude, I was losing my shit yesterday. Oh my God. In my biggest league, I have Chase McLaughlin. Yesterday dropping bombs on Chase McLaughlin. 22 points in that league. It was awesome. Still got a long way to go though. Can't get excited. Yeah. I got a lot of players playing today. He's got a lot of players going, so anything can happen. But Matt, what do you need today? What are you looking forward to the most?
The worst of worst things that could happen, right? You'll bring Derek on here in a minute, but Derek and I split 2 teams that we have not been overly successful in bringing home titles. Okay. And we had, obviously with the bye, so we had Cousins and Jefferson on the bench. Or not on the bench, but they don't score any points, right? Because we're not playing last week. Yeah, and it's down 30-0. I said, perfect. This is exactly what I want fantasy football to be. They're down 30-0.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm out getting my wings. Remember, I had to go through – she can hear me. I had to go through I had to go last-minute Christmas shopping, right? We talked about that. But I ended up getting my wings. Well, as I sit down and I order my wings, and now I'm in 7th heaven. It's everything the whole day. It's opened up. Chase McLaughlin's got 4,000 field goals. I'm about to get wings served to me, and Derek texts me, and what does he say? Jonathan Taylor's out for the game. We have him in a different league, and we have a bye, and that to me is the one thing that you have to avoid during the playoffs. You have to have a healthy roster. You can't start your studs. You start based on the schedule, and I'm just sick about the fact that Jonathan Taylor has not been able to stay healthy for one damn football game this season. And we drafted him 101 we could have passed on him like we did in the other league and taken Justin Jefferson, but hindsight being 2020, he was supposed to be the best player in football, and he's just trash right now.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but that's why you handcuff your players, folks, and that's why we do our must-have handcuffs episode. Let's bring in Derek. Derek's probably in the background right now just saying, get me in here. I need to show these people what we're talking about today. Derek, you can follow Derek_favorite on Twitter. Derek, tell me what's going on this week for fantasy playoffs. You have any games going on right now? What's up?
Yeah, Bobby, you read my mind. I was wondering if Styles was ever going to let me into this thing here. But he didn't finish the story because I followed up that shortly thereafter that Jefferson was also out. But as we know, he came back in and he was a monster. So, yeah, for me, besides the two teams that Matt talked about, I'm in one, and it's pretty tight. I've got a flex decision I have to make today before game time. So I'll be listening to some of your advice from the quad box today to help me with that. Unfortunately, I'm leaning towards the late play, but although I think he's going to play, he is hampered by a little illness. So do I start someone early and not worry about it, or do I just roll the dice and put all my eggs in that basket for the late game? So I've got some decisions to make here before we're done.
All right, listen.
And Bobby, since we were a little bit late starting today, I tried to answer the questions that are there. Those are all my opinions. So if you want to tee those up sometime during the show, they're all above where I commented.
All good, Matt. Listen, Matt is always trying to get ahead of the game. He's trying to be, it's supposed to be just his show. He wants to do a solo Sunday live show at this point. And Matt, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to cut you off here. All right, listen, we started at 8. We started at 8 right now. Listen, the World Cup's on right now. I got Messi scoring goals. I'm super excited. All right, Brian comes in. Good morning, Brian. We always appreciate you jumping on. Gets on pretty early. We love that. He needs to get a win to make the playoffs. So it looks like Brian starts, maybe you only have 4 teams make the playoffs. You do week 16 and 17. If you guys go to the last week, we always recommend. I just did a show, 5 ways to improve your fantasy league earlier this week. A couple innovative ideas. Another idea is do not play to the last time of year. If the last week of the year, do not play that because so many teams have, don't play their starters. So you want to try to end your week on week 17 this time around. But Brian, hopefully you guys only 4 teams make the playoffs. But the question here is, and Derek, I'll give you first crack at the question since you were the last one in this morning. Mike Williams or Garrett Wilson this week, half PPR. And he also has Aaron Jones in the flex, but I think is rock solid. So which one do you got, Mike Williams or Garrett Wilson?
Yeah, I actually like both of these receivers today. Williams has a nice matchup against the Titans D, who give up points to the wide receivers. But I'm going to go with Wilson. I'm not stoked that Mike White isn't going to be under center there, but I think Garrett Wilson, he's really just coming into his own, and I think he's going to be your play today.
Okay, Gladys?
Garrett Wilson. I know, even you've got to think that Zach Wilson knows that he has to show up and show out. And Garrett Wilson by far is getting like the most targets in that team. Detroit's given up like 41 points to the wide receivers away from home. Mike Williams is kind of a boomer bust. Tennessee has given up a lot of points. That Keenan Allen's going to get the most targets. You're just hoping that Mike Williams gets that long touchdown throw. So for the safer floor, I'm going to go Garrett Wilson in that game.
Matt?
Garrett Wilson is not a 45-year-old mom, so I'm going Mike Williams.
Wow, I don't even know what that means.
Zach Wilson.
Go Google Zach Wilson's
awesome. Zach Wilson likes moms. Got it. Dang. All right. Listen, I got to tell you, this is an unfortunate one, Brian. I thought this was easy. Mike Williams all day. Tennessee is decimated on defense. Like, I think a report came out, 7 of their 11 starters are out for this game. 2 of their top outside cornerbacks are out for this game. And I just think that, I think that game could be fun too. Tennessee has been pretty good. I know they don't have Traylon Burks, but I think Mike Williams is I think he's a wide receiver 1 this week. So we're split. So either you're top or you're bottom, Brian. So I think at this point, let's hope. I don't know if that actually, that's probably You
Yeah.
forget I said that, but you get what
Yeah.
I mean. Anyway, he's got Zach Wilson. All right, good start. We got Bob talking things. I'm saying weird shit. All right, he's also got Knight and James Conner at the running back position. So it sounds like he could potentially flex Mike Williams and Garrett Wilson and then sit one of these running backs. So would you guys prefer? So it looks like we have 5. We have Knight, James Conner, Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams, and Aaron Jones. Are you sitting any of those running backs to get in the other receiver? Anybody in this group?
No, but if he has Donovan Knight, I don't think there's gonna be enough points to double up the Jets. So if he's playing Donovan Knight, I would sit Garrett Wilson because you're not going to double up those points. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah. I got the Lions defense, so I hate everything that's going on right now. I want everyone to know that I want the Lions defense to play well today, but it looks like we're leading slightly Mike Williams. But I do think that Garrett Wilson's been on fire. I think if Mike White was starting, this would be really, really difficult. I think it'd be probably a toss-up. I think both guys would be top 15 options. Maybe you're right. Zach Wilson turns it on. Brian has another question here. It's a good one. We have Joe Burrow playing against that Tampa Bay defense today, and then Justin Fields going up a really stout Philadelphia Eagles defense. Talk to me, Matt. What do you got?
You know what? I mean, really? Never Fields.
Okay. Well, that's insane. So, it's so easy. I'm going to just say Justin
Do
Fields.
me a favor. Go into your league settings right now. Pick a Yahoo league that you're in, and you're in the playoffs. Go look at the teams that are still alive, and I bet you 0 of them have Justin Fields. That's a dollar bet.
I have Justin Fields in all my leagues, and I'm in the playoffs. I'm playing him everywhere. The guy's a freak. He's a freak.
I'm going to look at ours right now. You go ahead. Discuss.
Go ahead. Gladys, who do you got? Fields or Burrow?
Oh, Joe Burrow's in this playoff game.
Like I said, I said that earlier. No one else heard me. I need that Tampa Bay, and I think that might be a shootout game. So I'm gonna go Burrow because Justin Fields, you're just relying mostly on his rushing ability. Philly's defense is going to shut down whatever receivers he has. Chase Claypool's out. So I think Joe Burrow has the higher ceiling for sure in this particular matchup.
Derek.
Yeah, if you're starting Justin Fields, I mean, he's down wide receivers. I mean, the matchup with the Philly defense is really poor for his wide receivers and his tight end. So you're hoping he gets yardage on the ground and a running touchdown if you're starting Fields. Conversely, if you're starting Burrows, that Burrows Chase connection is going to be huge today.
And T. Higgins is in too. So
yeah, right. And Boyd and Higgins they're both banged up, but they're both going to be in there as well. This is easy for me. It's Burrows all day in this matchup. I just can't see that the Bears have enough to counter the Philly the defense to give Fields enough room to really exploit his talents on the ground. I think Philly can easily put a spy on him, shut him down, and we may see the week 3 Justin Fields today, than we did. If you all recall how poor he was against those top defenses early in the season, and everyone was writing him off. This is what it feels like to me again today is one of those games. So yeah, easy Joe Burrows for me.
So,
yeah,
12 teams, 2 leagues, 1 team is starting Justin Fields. That team is stacked other than that quarterback. Now, I will tell you this. Justin Fields is going to have 90-plus yards rushing, and he's going to have 90 yards passing. He's going to be a fail today. Write it down, Bobby.
Okay. So you're saying he's outside the top 12 today. That's okay. All right, we'll see. I don't think it's very rare that you guys – I think we always forget the cheat code here. Cheat code's fantasy football is mobile quarterbacks. This guy is a pinnacle of a mobile quarterback. He rushes for like 50-yard touchdowns every week. Listen, Burrow, I think the problem I have is that Tom Brady sucks now, and the Bucs offense sucks now. And like Cincinnati's defense is playing well. And I do have some injuries we got to talk about. So I think Burrow I'm okay with on this one, but I would prefer Justin Fields. I think if my team is the underdog, I know Justin Fields can go bananas today. I know Philly's going to score 30-plus points against Chicago. They're going to kill him. So Justin Fields is going to have the game flow. I feel like he's going to be up, put up points. I'm still going to go Justin Fields, but it looks like the group will go Joe Burrow. I think you got a good one here. All right. Anthony Gonzalez, good morning, sir. Always a pleasure to have you on. So Jonathan Taylor screwed me over. Well, welcome to the club. This is club. Jonathan Taylor screwed us over the first week of the playoffs. I'm your bouncer, and I'll let you in. Just check your ID. Question is, do I keep A.J. Brown in or replace him with Christian Watson for a possible upside? I don't think A.J. Brown has less upside. I honestly think you just roll with it, dude. I mean, it's a lot. It's only one player. Yeah, I know it sucks that Jonathan Taylor went down, but typically you have 8 other guys that can carry your team. You do not sit your studs. And Chicago is awful. Like, their defense is awful. You want A.J. Brown. Does anybody disagree here? Anybody? Raise your hand if you want to talk about Christian Watson here. Derek, go ahead.
I do. And it's not actually, if you move to the next question, because I think Anthony is right in line with us, because this is the real question. Does Christian Watson play over an injured Josh Jacobs? And I think this is really where the question is. And so
I personally wouldn't. I wouldn't, but you go ahead. I wouldn't do that.
I wouldn't either.
Yeah, I don't think I would either. But the beauty of this is, I mean, and I know Jacobs is questionable today. He's trending towards playing, but he has an option. So if for some reason Jacobs if we get some word before that game, he's either out, well, then you've got an easy fix. You plug in Watson, you play him tomorrow night. Otherwise, if Josh Jacobs is a go, then you've got to play him. But this is, to me, this is actually closer than it would appear on paper, because the Rams are trash. We know that. They're traveling to Green Bay. They're giving up almost 26 points per game to wideouts, which is that is screaming a Christian Watson 1 or 2 touchdown game on a field where those Rams D-backs are going to be slipping all over the place. So
yeah,
I actually like Watson quite a bit this week, and he's going to be one of my starts we talk about later. But and I don't think this is as far as we think. But again, Jacobs earns the start as long as he's deemed healthy. If there's any question, I wouldn't be too concerned putting Watson in.
I think if your stud had a really bad matchup, let's say A.J. Brown had a really tough matchup this week, I would understand this. I'd be like, all right, yeah, Christian Watt, take that upside. A.J. Brown's got a really tough matchup, but he's playing Chicago. Like, you can't sit A.J. Brown against a really struggling, a team that, by the way, lost like 3 of their 4 players on the back end. So, but I do like the thought process. So we have people on here like Anthony comes on. Like, you got to be thinking about this stuff. This is fantasy playoffs. I understand the mantra to start your studs. But if this was a scenario where A.J. Brown was playing an elite defense, I would understand, like, you know what? You got the 0 from JT. Go get that upside from Watson. So it's a good thought process. I do appreciate that. But at the same time, A.J. Brown's playing Chicago. I just could never tell someone to sit him against Chicago. So
agreed. And taking your point, Bobby, Josh Jacobs and the Raiders are up against the Patriots, who have one of the best running back defenses in the league. And he's banged up. That was my point. Agreed.
Yeah,
I think, and I think Anthony agrees that A.J. Brown is the start there because of this question here. And now and his real question is Watson over Jacobs versus the Patriots. And that's why I think that's actually a little bit closer than we think.
I just, what the thing with him, though, is with Josh Jacobs, he's like the number 1 player in fantasy. I don't really see – I guess I would have to look back through to see, like, how did he face against really tough defenses. Like, I know he had a bad game against New Orleans earlier this year, that game where they got blown out like 24-0. I just feel like the Josh McDaniels, Bill Belichick thing, like, now you got Darren Waller back and Hunter Renfrow back. Like, the Raiders are healthier now. I know they're going to be missing one of their starting offensive guards. I can't sit the number 1 running back in fantasy in my first week of the playoffs. I just think it's going to be like, and New England's not if you look at our adjusted line yards matchup metric that you can find on Razzball, they are a tough defense, but they're not like number 1 against the run. It's not like they're the elite of the elite. So I don't know if I could sit the number 1 guy in fantasy. Yep. Any thoughts, Matt, on this? Go ahead, Derek. Sorry.
I was just going to say real quick, the beauty of this is he has Josh Jacobs in his flex, which means he's stacked at running back already. Yeah, I'm assuming. So, yeah, we're talking Josh Jacobs in the flex. So we're talking about a flex position where he's probably going to do well anyway, regardless. But yeah, he's in a good position. Go ahead,
Gladys.
Sorry.
Matt or Gladys, you guys want to jump in here?
I'm everything Derek said, and then I appreciate you, Bobby. I really do, mentioning that the Bears sucked 3 times.
I know, man. As my Packers fan, I'm sorry, man. I know it's been a tough year, but we love you anyway. We love the Packers. Oh, yeah, Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers on Monday night. You excited or what? Is he gonna light it up against the Rams?
I think he's going to play well. The Rams are just so bad right now. And do we know on your list, is Aaron Donald out?
Out.
Jalen Ramsey can't do it by himself, right? And Bobby Wagner's 68 years old. So I think Rodgers has a good game. I don't know that I want to start him. I start him over Fields. How about that?
Okay. Well, I gotta just hold off on the Fields stuff for now. I got too many things going on today with the fantasy playoffs. I got Fields everywhere. Actually, I have Fields versus Herbert, which is we'll talk later about. I'm really struggling with that one. But yeah, go ahead, Gladys.
No, I agree. Josh Jacobs in the flex, it allows you to wait and see. But he's been on the injury report for the last 3 weeks, and he's literally just killed it the last 3 weeks that he's been on the injury report. So
I know, right?
yeah.
It's nuts.
So I have no problem. If he's out, then you can put Watson in. But otherwise, I think Anthony should stick with what he has.
All right. Anthony, sounds good, guys. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Isaac wants the kicker report. And now, Isaac, this is what I'm talking about. By the way, and I got to apologize. The only problem with the Saturday games, good news, I got 2 of the guys on here right now that have proof of my Chase McLaughlin conversation, because I was all on that yesterday and I nailed it. It was good. That was my go-to kicker this week. But if you're looking for a streamer kicker today, the guy I really like is Will Lutz. Against the Atlanta Falcons. I do like him a lot. I think if you could get him, he's available. I unfortunately, we discussed Bass, and I was thinking about sitting Bass, and Lutz was the guy I was going to sit him for. He got like 6 points, which is, fine. It's not going to kill you. But I was so mad, though, up until the final kick of the game. I'm like, God damn it. I should have sat Bass. I'm like so pissed off. I'm the only psychopath that gets upset about kickers. Anyway.
No, you're not.
All right, I love it. This is why I love you guys. We're all the same team here. All right, it's Will Lutz. I like a lot. Ryan Suckup, Tampa Bay, and then Eddie Pinheiro. I like Eddie Pinheiro, the Carolina kicker today, going up against Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers have a solid defense, but I like how when teams can move the ball, but they stall in the red zone. That's what I look for here. So I'm gonna go number 1, Will Lutz. Number 2 is Eddie Pinheiro, and number 3 is Ryan Suckup. Those are pretty widely less owned players. Go ahead, Matt.
And for Isaac, looking ahead, because we know Isaac's going to advance in the playoffs, look at Cameron Dicker for the last 2 weeks of your playoffs. Look at his matchups, where he's playing, who he's playing, and the fact that the Chargers are starting to roll.
Bobby.
Yeah.
Will Lutz or Young Hoku?
Okay, so there is a caveat to this whole thing. Koo is actually technically the next guy behind McLaughlin that I liked, but I don't know what the Ritter situation. I don't know what to expect. Like I in my analysis, it was like a couple of the studs like Tucker and Butker, and then it went McLaughlin and Koo. And I'm like, oh, and I was like, kind of, that's what I was talking to everybody about. And I think that's why we all leaned McLaughlin yesterday, because we don't know what to expect from Ritter. He could be good, but what if he's a disaster? And I just, in the fantasy playoffs, I can't take the risk, but Koo is up there. That's why I leaned Lutz. Same game, both in a dome. And I think Kamara, I think the Mark Ingram injury is a good thing for the Saints. Better because now they're going to be forced hand to play Kamara, and I think Kamara needs to work. And I think he's going to help that offense, so I'm going Lutz.
Okay.
But if it's Koo, I'm sorry. It's because I do like him as well. But anyway, all right, Meg. Isaiah's got another question. Full PPR. Glass, we're going to go down to you first here. Pick 1 RB and another flex. So we got to pick 2 here, it looks like. Pick 1 RB and a flex. So it's got to be one of your 2 players has to be a running back. That's the key here. Devonta Foreman, Deontay Johnson, Hollywood Brown, Rex Burkhead, Samaje Perine. Before you guys answer here, we do have to talk about that Rex Burkhead, Dare Omugawale situation. No Damian Pierce. I personally, based on the information that I saw last week, it looks like Daryl Ogunbowale is actually the lead back. He actually had played a lot more snaps, but Rex Burkhead might be the base back, but it's today against the Chiefs. My personal opinion is game flow will lean Dare, but maybe we could kind of talk about that too when you're going through your thought process. Gladys, what's your thoughts here? 1 RB, 1 flex.
Is Deontay Johnson still hurt? That he was on hip. He didn't practice Wednesday.
He's good.
Yeah, and it's Mitchell Trubisky. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Deontay Foreman and Holly Brown and Brett Rip. Oh my God, backup quarterbacks are killing me right now. I'm gonna go Samaje. Even with Joe Mixon in, they had kind of a same share. If that game is as close as you say and not the blowout that I want, then they'll rely on their running backs. So I'm going to go Deontay and Samaje.
Yeah, so I kind of teed up my situation, and the 2 players that I'm picking between are on this list. So, so I'm really interested in hearing everyone's feedback. But for this question, for Isaac's question, I'm starting Deontay Johnson. I do like Hollywood Brown, but I think Johnson has a better matchup even with Trubisky playing. In fact, Gladys will be happy because the last time we were on, I was trashing the Steelers. Well, I was tough on the Steelers. Let's put it this way. I actually like the Steelers today in Carolina. I think the Steelers are going to play well, and there's a couple of targets. I think that whether you're playing season long or DFS, I think there's a couple Steelers that you may want to target today, and Deontay is one of them. So I'll stick with that for the flex, and I'm going to go Foreman. Same game. I like him over Burkhead I like him over the Houston situation, period. And I don't see, even though this is a full PPR, I don't see that P. Ryan in a timeshare, probably the lesser part of the timeshare with Mixon, gets enough work to offset Foreman, who should have the bulk of that work, even with Chuba Hubbard. So in this case, I'm going Foreman and Deontay.
Matt?
Well, remind me, last weekend I was a tad hazy. Was Deontay Foreman one of our smash plays that shit the bed?
Yep.
So that means he won't do that this week, right? So we're going to chase the shitty performance because he's not going to do it again. So I take Foreman, and the main reason I take Foreman is for one of the things, or one each that you mentioned, right? The Houston situation is up in the air. We don't know if Dare is going to be the lead back. I think he is. I think that he has great hands. At least that's what the scouting report and his catches say. He averages 7.7 yards per target, per reception. Pretty good for a running back. I think P. Ryan is back to third down back and a blowback at best, right, when Mixon is not in the game. So I'm going to go with Foreman because I prefer Dare over Burkhead, and I think Mixon is the surefire number one. I don't think Samaje is going to get enough snaps in an active role. And then for this, the better of the 2 receivers is Hollywood Brown. The better quarterback via NFL paperwork is probably Trubisky because he's really the starter. But he lost his job to Kenny Pickett at one point, so how good could he be? I prefer Deontay Johnson, even though I think it should be Hollywood Brown. If it was Kyler Murray, it's a no-brainer. It's Hollywood Brown. But for me, I'm going to go Foreman and Johnson. And then to Derek's point, I think that Pat Freiermuth is going to be a significant play today in DFS.
So a lot of good thoughts here. This was good. I think Foreman's the smash running back play. I think the problem I have with Rex Burkhead is that we don't know. Honestly, a la Tony Jones Jr. last week, folks, against Seattle. We all thought Adam Schefter says Tony Jones is going to get the start this week. Good job, Schefter. And sure enough, he gets like 2 touches. Like, we wish we knew. I wish I could tell you. I think I would play Dare over Rex, but I don't know. So I'm not even going to touch that, especially when you have good options. Like Foreman might have not have had the huge week last week, but the guy got like 20 touches. Like, give me that 20 touches. And playing at home against a Pittsburgh team that has a struggling offense, like at least the Panthers will be in a game flow that we feel confident enough that Foreman's not going to get taken out of the game. So I think Foreman's the lock on a running back. Now, this wide receiver situation is a coin flip. If you go over to the Razzball slot versus wide points per game allowed tool, Hollywood Brown's the new slot receiver for the Cardinals. He plays the slot now with Robbie Anderson and DeAndre Hopkins out wide, and then Rondell Moore out for the rest of the year on IR. So Hollywood's got a great slot matchup against Denver, who's been getting crushed in the slot. And Colt McCoy, listen, he runs everyone keeps saying Colt McCoy, yeah, he's the backup, but he's the type of guy that's going to get the ball out of his hands quickly, and he's going to run the offense smooth. So I'm not concerned about McCoy. The problem is Deontay Johnson gets Carolina, who gets smoked by outside wide receivers. And if you look at Deontay Johnson's first 3 weeks with Mitch Trubisky, he was the guy. 12, 10, and 11 targets in those 3 weeks. So he was a huge target vacuum guy. Now, granted, the yardage wasn't impressive, but I think I'm going to lean slightly Hollywood Brown here. I'm going to go Hollywood Brown, Deontay Foreman. But I do think Deontay Johnson is not a bad option either because of the matchup against Carolina. So I'm going to lean Hollywood Brown and Foreman in that game. Brian shouts out, thank you guys. Good luck. Good lick. Ooh, Brian, you naughty boy. First thing in the morning. All right, Trey S.
Merry Christmas to Brian.
I know, right? Get some candy canes in here right now. Anyway, so full PPR start 1. We got Judy, Boyd, Rashad White. Dulcich is his tight end, so that's a good caveat there. So let's kick it down to Matt first. Matt, what do you got here? Start 1, full PPR. Judy, Boyd, Rashad White.
I don't trust Tampa Bay anymore. For some reason, Leonard Fournette is getting every chance to be Walter Payton in this offense, and he's not. He looks like he's running an oatmeal. So I just don't trust Tampa. I don't trust Boyd to stay on the field, and I really prefer Judy. The only pause I have on this is, are we seriously considering starting 2 Broncos offensive players?
Yeah, with Brett Rippon, right?
Well, I don't mind Brett Rippon, right? Because Russ has been terrible. He's just been awful. And Judy's got decent numbers. Judy had a big game last week. So as long as Trey is not chasing 3 touchdown Judy, I like Judy in this one. He's not going to get 3 touchdowns. That's all I'm saying, right? You're not going to score 3 touchdowns, Jerry Judy, this week. But I prefer him in a vacuum over the other 2 guys. When you throw Dulcich into the mix, I get a little bit more nervous about that.
Okay, Gladys.
1 second. Give me just a minute, please.
We'll give you a minute. Derek, you hit it off. We got Gladys. She'll be our closer for this one.
Yeah, I'm going to take a little different approach to this. The Bengals have Hayden Hurst out today. Mitchell Wilcox is their tight end. That doesn't really get my juices flowing at all. But I think more Tyler Boyd is going to be the pseudo tight end for the Bengals today. He runs about 85% of his routes out of the slot anyway. And the Bucs defense is very forgiving to tight ends. So I'm not going to that in the caveat that he's also already playing Dulcich, and I do like Judy as a player, but today, with the new quarterback and already playing the Broncos tight end, I just don't think there's going to be enough offense there to this is kind of going back to a point that Gladys made earlier, to carry 2 players from that team. And so I'm staying away from White here. I don't think that's a good matchup at all, and the timeshare there. But I actually not overly concerned with Boyd. Again, I think Chase has a big game, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if Boyd is the, like I said, the pseudo tight end for the Bengals today.
Okay, so the caveat is that I, in one league, am playing both Judy and Dulcich. I really have no other option. But in this instance, for him, I wouldn't double up if I didn't have to. Rashad White in his last 3 games has had like 5, 8, and 9 targets. They are trying to make Rashad White a thing. I would play Rashad White in a full PPR. I think he's going to get the targets again today, especially if Tom Brady has to get the ball out quickly. It's going to be Rashad White. So again, hoping the game's a blowout, that both teams score lots and lots of points. That's what I need. But if not, if it's your scenario, Bobby, I'm going to go with Rashad White with his targets.
Yeah, you know what? I think that San Francisco game was more impressive than we thought. I mean, he did have, 18 touches, 76 yards. That's not too bad. 5 catches against that San Francisco defense. So I think if you could do that against San Francisco, I want to take the upside. So I'm going to go Rashad White as well there. All right, Isaac, Isaac, full PPR for my tight end, Evan Ingram or Hunter Henry. Ooh, the hot Evan Ingram. Gladys, let's kick it down to you first here. Evan Ingram just went bananas last week. Are we riding the wave, or are we going with Hunter Henry this week, who's got a solid matchup against the Raiders?
Evan Ingram was playing Tennessee, who is a sieve. So I'm not chasing those points. Hunter Henry's playing the Raiders, who have allowed 15 points per game to the tight end position.
Playing the Broncos.
No, New England's playing
New
the
England's
Raiders.
playing the Raiders. Arizona's playing the Broncos.
Oh,
Here.
I'm drunk. Yep. Take my ball and go home.
Matt, give me your keys. Give me your keys. You're drunk.
So I'm going to go Hunter Henry over Evan Ingram. I'm not going to chase the points.
All right. Derek?
Everything that Gladys just said. I'm not chasing the points. I love the matchup Henry has against the Raiders. Easy for me, Henry.
Matt?
Everything Derek said about what Gladys said, the only thing I throw out there is that Dallas can be thrown on. I don't trust Jacksonville to do what they need to against that Dallas front four. I think Micah Parsons has a field day. So I would take the safer Hunter Henry today.
All right. So what Matt said about what Derek said about what Gladys said, I'm also going to say that I like Hunter Henry this week. Plus, Devontae Parker's out. I do think that's going to open up more 2 tight end sets potentially for that team. Get Hunter Henry on the field a little bit more. He kind of splits a little time with Jonnu when they're fully healthy at receivers, so I think that's going to help a little bit. Myers is banged up. Don't know really what he's been kind of in and out of the lineup the last few weeks. So let's go Hunter Henry. Maybe because I also have him in a couple leagues. So let's get the good vibes out there. All right.
That's the first quad. 100% quad blow.
We should have like a little confetti thing shoot across the screen. We do a first quad. Anyway, all right. Jefferson 23. Morning, gents, and my lady. Look at that. Jefferson 23 gets it. Tip of the cap to you. Yesterday didn't go as planned in my matchup. Half PPR questions. I need to fill my wide receiver 2, my RB2, and a flex. So we have 3 spots to fill here. Need at least 1 running back and 1 wide receiver. My options are Christian Kirk versus Dallas, Juju at Houston, ETN versus Dallas, Brian Robinson versus the Giants. So you have 4 options. You need 3 spots. Let's give it a couple seconds. Let's just talk through. Anybody have a good feel on this one? I want to go first. Matt, go ahead.
So get it out of the way. I don't want to play ETN against Dallas. I think the front is too tough. I think Juju's in a smash situation. I think Houston's going to score some points. So Mahomes is going to keep throwing, and Juju is the guy that I like there. Brian Robinson completely off the injury report. He started on the injury report Wednesday, so I like him. For me, this is easy. If it's the normal part of the regular season, the opponents are a little bit different. For me, it's Kirk and ETN. I don't even think twice. But in this playoff matchup, I like Juju and I like Brian Robinson.
Yeah, I'll just jump in. I actually totally agree. I like Kirk today. I think if you're going to score against the Cowboys defense, it's going to be out wide, and Kirk's going to take advantage of that. I actually do like Juju today. He's usually the guy I always strike. He's my never Fields generally, but I like that matchup today. And I really like Brian Robinson versus the Giants. I think The Giants are the lower third of the league versus running backs, and Robinson is just picking up more and more of that workload there. So I think Robinson has a great chance to play well on Sunday Night Football tonight. So I'm sitting ETN here as well.
And no offense to Bob, but I mean, the Giants are fading. Let's be honest.
It's all gravy at this point, folks. I'm not even stressing about the Giants anymore. We showed that we have a thing going on here. We literally throw into like accountants and lawyers at wide receiver right now, and I don't expect anything from Daniel Jones, and he's still looking decent. So I'm not stressing about it. Love myself some Daniel Bellinger long-term. Great dynasty pickup, by the way. That guy's going to be a stud. Love every second of it. But anyway, I get it. The Giants are a sieve against the run, but they do get Leonard Williams back this week, which is good. Gladys, did you pick yours yet?
No, I said
France just scored. All right, go ahead.
Did they?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, stop. Never France. Come on.
Never France.
Never Messi. Sucks. I concur. I'm not playing ETN this week.
What are we? That's crazy. This is crazy.
You would play ETN over Brian Robinson against the Giants?
I understand. I get it. It's just like a month ago, ETN was like the hottest name in fantasy, and he was absolutely going bananas. I don't disagree with you. It's like if you go by the numbers, the player to sit is ETN. But like, it's crazy. It's wild. I think his foot injury is a problem because he kind of re-aggravated his foot like 3 weeks ago, and he hasn't looked the same since. Like he hasn't been as involved in the passing game. And he had 0 targets in 2 of the last 3 games. So it's like very weird. And that's kind of helped Evan Ingram emerge, right? Because those tight end and running back targets kind of counteract each other. Ingram spikes, he drops. And so I'm not wrong. Go ahead, Glass. Sorry to cut you off. But I think it's crazy that it's so true, but it's crazy that we're fading him.
I'm pretty sure I was done.
Oh, all right. Perfect. Yeah. No, yeah. It's just tough to play Kirk and ETN against Dallas. I mean, I know Dallas is
two to 2.
No way.
Yes.
Oh, shit.
Mbappe.
Oh, wow.
Mbappe time.
That's crazy. I can't believe they just tied it. All right. Anyway. Yeah, I guess.
So there's one country that has ever lost the World Cup after leading at halftime. And
Please say it's Argentina. Please say it's Argentina.
Twice.
Please say it's Argentina. Yes.
That's crazy. That's like the 80th minute. Anyway, sorry everyone. Let's get back to football.
That is football.
Overseas football. It's soccer.
Football.
Well, Gladys is about to get fined. Bobby's been handing out fines. He's been handing out fines on the Sunday show. Sky's got a couple of them logged in for being late. So
I should have a really big one from yesterday for not showing up. Bobby's frozen. He can't get over the Argentina thing.
There we go. All right.
It's done.
Anyway, let's get back. Yeah, I'm just struggling with this concept of City ETN. I honestly don't think it's wise. But
are you a start your studs guy for the playoffs?
I'm not typically, but it's just like the Tennessee Titans run defense is probably the best in football right now. And he got completely shell-shocked against him. And he plays Detroit, who's red hot right now. Dallas is like, I don't know. I understand that like the matchup isn't great, but I'm not like, I got to see what Dallas is against.
All right, so let me ask you this. What if ETN was David Montgomery in this question? Or what if ETN was Leonard Fournette? Or what if that was J.K. Dobbins?
But ETN isn't he's a workhorse. There isn't like it's not like he's Leonard Fournette splitting time with White. He's a workhorse. He got 17 carries last week. I just think, I get it though. I get it. I understand the thought process. I'm going to sit Juju. I'm not the Houston Texans are just one of the most weird teams to face. Like they don't get killed by anybody. They don't get killed on the wide receivers because they constantly get gashed on the ground. And, Mahomes spreads the ball around. I think I'll take my risk and I'll sit a guy like Juju and I'll play Kirk, ETN, and Brian Robinson. That's what I think there. All right. We finally got through all the questions to start off the shout out to Matthew. Thanks for all your advice. Only Matt gets the Jefferson 23 only gets the shout out for one person, Jefferson 23. That's
I take the
unfortunate.
hat tip back to Jefferson 23.
Yeah, we don't
Reverse hat
like
tip.
that. All right.
I'm just saying that what a wonderful viewer we have.
No,
Whatever.
he's
And
probably
that must be
super
Matt's
handsome.
burner account.
I know. My burner just fell off. Matt's got a new one. Anyway, we have a bunch of injuries to get through. And by the way, I had to create a third column because there were so many freaking injuries this week. Like
Holy
ridiculous
shit.
amount of injuries that we have to talk about. And the one of them is here is I think is key with the Justin Fields situation is Chase Claypool will be joining Darnell Mooney, who will not be playing today. So that's a tough one. Mike White is out today. That means we're going to see Zach Wilson. I do think Garrett Wilson falls from that top 20 range maybe to more of a flex this week. So I would be wary of that. But the good news for him is Corey Davis is also out. So more targets will go around there. Kenny Pickett is out today. Mitch Trubisky's in. I do think that does help Deontay Johnson a little bit. It seemed like Pickens and Pickett were the connection. And it seemed like Mitch Trubisky was more of a Deontay Johnson guy. So there's that. Brandon Cooks and Nico Collins are both out today. I want to kick it over to you, Derek, on this one. Derek, Chris Moore last week. We talked a little bit about him. We also have Jordan Akins this game. What's your thoughts on Chris Moore and company with those two guys out again?
Yeah, I do like Chris Moore. I wrote about him in my article this week, and the Chiefs do give up points into the slot, and Chris Moore is a slot receiver. And in fact, yeah, it's. I'm going to take a little liberty to ask my question because one of the questions I was going to have for the group later is,
go ahead.
Do I pick up and start Chris Moore over Hollywood Brown in my flex? I like them both.
Yeah.
Oof.
So I do think Hollywood. So the game flow for Houston, I mean, if worst case scenario, it'll be like the Dallas game last week, right? Like where they come out a little competitive, but then that really helps the other team's offense, and then it gets competitive overall. Or they get the doors blown off them by Kansas City, and they're throwing a bunch because they have to. But I just think Hollywood Brown, Denver is a slot funnel defense. I'll take the talent of Hollywood personally.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I wrote Chris Moore was my waiver out of the week, and we didn't add him. We have pretty stout teams, so we didn't have room for him. But I'd love to have him for today if I was playing. But as I remind everybody, we have 2 buys, so we're not playing today. I think I start Hollywood and try not to get cute. But I don't love it.
I think the grain. It's so funny. I think the game script favors Chris Moore more than Hollywood Brown because honestly, Arizona and Denver, what's the implied point totals like? What, 33 or 35 or 38 or something? So no one is predicting scoring in that game. Whereas that game total, the implied game total is like 48.
48.
Yeah,
48.
it's like 48. So it's expected that Houston will be a slightly more competitive, I'll bet, coming from behind. So I think 37 for the Arizona-Denver game. I think the game script favors Chris Moore. I would go Chris Moore, but I understand the Hollywood Brown and the defense funneling stuff.
Yeah, no, yeah. I think it's not a bad question to ask. I will say this, Derek, about that. So because of the injuries, Moore moved to the outside more. So he actually did play on the perimeter last week. I know season long he's been the slot guy, but he was on the outside a little bit more last week. So if that helps sway you just a little bit, Hollywood, is it a PPR?
Yes, half PPR.
All right. Yeah, I'm still going to go Hollywood. I think the Denver secondary is getting a little banged up, so I'm going to stay there. Probably. So it's close, but it's close. That's how far Chris Moore has moved up and how good he's looked with the expanded role. And I do think he's one of our favorite starts this week. I talked about him yesterday as a sleeper, so I get it. All right, let's jump down to a couple of injuries here. Derek Stingley Jr. and Steven Nelson are out this week. That's 2 of the outside cornerbacks for the Houston Texans. So, obviously we just talked about a little bit about Juju, MVS, Justin Watson. That is good news for that passing offense because those 2 cornerbacks are out. Dameon Pierce, of course, out today. I think we're trying to figure out who's going to be Dare or Rex Burkhead. If you are someone who lost JT, if you're someone who lost a couple of those receivers and you're struggling at flex, obviously I would lean Dare over Rex Burkhead personally, but it's also not a bad idea to stash those guys to see how it turns out, because that could be a difference maker down the stretch. Mark Ingram's out today. It's good news for Alvin Kamara and company. Marcus Mariota is now on IR, of course, so we're going to see a lot of Desmond Ridder. We'll see how that works out. Anthony Brown, one of the outside cornerbacks for the Dallas Cowboys, has been on IR. He's out today again for the Cowboys. That is notable. For the other receivers, does anybody feel that Trayvon Diggs will shadow Zay Jones this week? Does anybody think that will happen?
I don't think he needs to shadow. I think they know they're going to win the football game, so he's just going to stay at home.
Probably. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Let's get through a couple more of these, and we'll answer a question. Right tackle. Well, the good news is Tyron Smith will be back, the left tackle, stud left tackle for the Cowboys, because they just lost their right tackle. Zach Allen, Byron Murphy are two of the main better players on the Arizona defense. So that is good news for a player like Jerry Jeudy going up against that Arizona defense with no Byron Murphy. Rondell Moore, we just talked about a bunch, is out today. That means Hollywood Brown will man the slot. That's good news for his fantasy outlook. Kyler Murray out, so we see Colt McCoy. I think that's actually not a terrible thing for this offense necessarily, for those receivers in any PPR format. We also have Cortland Sutton, Kendall Hilton, and Russell Wilson out today. Mike Boone out today, so a bunch of injuries to that Denver Broncos offense. Maybe Arizona. Anybody have a pulse Arizona defense this week because of those injuries? Anybody taking a shot on Arizona's defense?
No, the guy below me in the quad box loves Arizona's defense down the stretch.
Well,
Derek, tell the people.
I wouldn't say love, but I think they are an upside play. Yes, for sure. And then going to Denver against the rookie quarterback, I don't hate it, but I think there are better options out there for defense.
All right, let's do this really quick. Green Bay or Arizona, Derek?
Green Bay.
Broncos.
In fact, I made that decision myself. I picked up Green Bay and I dropped Arizona.
Okay, Broncos.
Broncos or Arizona?
Correct.
That's just this week?
Yeah, just this week. I would go Cardinals.
Saints or Arizona?
Saints against the Falcons at home. Arizona.
Cameron Jordan's playing, right? Or is he out?
Yeah, that's a good call there. That's a tough one for me. That's a coin flip. We're
gonna go Arizona. You heard it here first. Just picked it for him. All right, so we have another question here from Siobhan 1107. First place on a bye this week. Congratulations, man. That's awesome. I got Henry and Stevenson as RBs. With Stevenson out, do I play next week Rachaad White or Cooks if Stevenson is still out? I think Stevenson will play. It sounds like he's going to play this week potentially, so he should be good for next week, so you'll be all right. Now, I guess a better question here. You have Rachaad White. We also have Cooks. But if we think about it, does it make more sense to pick up one of those other Patriots backs versus having a Cooks? Or do you guys feel more confident in these two? I think I would prefer White, but Cooks has not been doing anything. I mean, I feel like he's now in a three-way with Hines and Devin Singletary. I know, right? It's weird. Glass, kick it down to you first. Any thoughts on future RB stashes for next week? Would you prefer to have James Cook, or would you prefer to have a backup Patriots running back just in case Stevenson doesn't play? You're on mute.
Who's New England playing next week? That's what I'm looking for.
That's what I'm checking right now. And it looks like, they're playing Cincinnati in New England. I would prefer to have, I would pick up a backup. I'm going to go with Rachaad White. Tampa plays Arizona next week.
Anybody else? Thoughts on this?
I'd probably rather have White than I would one of the retread New England backups.
Yeah, same here. I mean, yesterday, Cook's good. He was out snap 2-1 to Singletary. So I would wait and see what the Houston backfield shakes out to be. There might be an opportunity there to pick up one of them and drop Cooks just to give you a little more strength for your bench for next week. But all things equal, I expect Stevenson to play, and I would go White as my third choice if for some reason Stevenson is limited, or if everything, the sky does fall and Henry is hurt, then White's going to be the guy.
Question. Now,
Cook did score the touchdown.
He did score a touchdown, but also they have Chicago next week. So the Bears, Buffalo has Chicago in Chicago, week 16. So I'm actually, I changed my answer. I'll keep Rachaad White and James Cook and figure it out from there. I think, I think Stevenson's going to be fine, but I almost would take the shot on Cooks against Chicago. That game could get ugly, and they could let the rookie run with it. I can see that happening very easily in that game, so that's how I feel about that one. All right. Let's go back to some key injuries here. We'll get through a couple more of these. Draymond Jones is out. He's like the stud defensive for the Denver Broncos. I think James Conner is one of my favorite starts of the week, also in DFS as well. I think he'd be a great play. And we just lost power. There we go. Damian Harris and Devontae Parker are both out today in this matchup. I think that is a slight bump for a guy like Jacoby Myers. If he's finally healthy, he is questionable. If he's active, I think that'll be a solid play for him. Jalen Mills, outside cornerback, is out for the Patriots. Good news for Matt Collins, especially if Bill Belichick tries to shut down. Does anybody have a pulse? Let's kick over to you, Matt, first. Anybody have a pulse? Do you think Bill Belichick's going to try to take away Devontae Adams or Josh Jacobs this week?
I would think that he would make Derek Carr beat him, because Derek Carr has not been great. But I don't know that it matters. I don't know. Here's what I will tell you. I think that they try to take away Jacobs. Number one, he's dinged, and it may take less work if they feel that he's truly dinged. But number two, I hope that Mac Jones has a career game today.
I did. Yes,
for this guy.
Oh
yeah, everything that Matt just said. Yes.
Yeah, Mac Jones was my sleeper of the week for quarterback, so I'm in. Let's do it.
Well, he's my starter. I've gone through 3 different backup quarterbacks to start over Jared Goff this week because I hate that matchup, and I settled on Mac Jones. Road
outdoor golf is never fun. Honestly, Amon-Ra St. Brown scares the bejesus. I have him in all my leagues. I'm in the playoffs. I'm not excited about him necessarily, but we'll get into that later. Anyway, Damian Harris out today. That's always key. Rock Ya-Sin, who's actually one of the outside quarterbacks for the Raiders, is out today. That is good news for those perimeter wide receivers, whoever that'll be, Aguilar, Tyquan Thornton, but also should help out Mac Jones. Shout out to him because they'll also be down their key middle linebacker, Jaywan Brown. So he's out for the Raiders. So the Raiders are missing some key players in there. So I do think, Messi. Ooh.
No, he didn't score.
David. Now here we get to the Texans. David Long, linebacker, out. D'Amico Autry, defensive end, out. Christian Fulton, cornerback, out. Trey Avery, cornerback, out. Amani Hooker, out. There's a bunch of injuries in that contest. Asking for a friend, Justin Herbert, is he a must start in this game with that banged up Titans defense? Derek over Justin Fields.
Yes, absolutely.
I hate everybody. Moving on. All right, so Treylon Burks is out today. One of the guys we talked about in our show last week, Gladys, was Che Okongwu, who actually came through. We also talked about him a bunch on the Sunday Live show last week. Guys, shout out to us. Great call. That was one of our best ones. Che Okongwu, Gladys, are you willing to start him against the Chargers this week with Treylon Burks out again?
Yeah. Yes, I am.
Let's do.
No,
I got you.
No. Because I'm going to start Derrick Henry because the Chargers, they don't have a run defense, and I don't want to start both of them because if they can get Derrick Henry going, that would alleviate having to have Ryan Tannehill win the game for you, and I think they would try that at all costs. So, no, not this week. I would not.
Does anybody have Che Okongwu as a top 10 option this week? No. Noted. All right. Moving on.
Noted.
Okay. Dontrell Hilliard is out. I think that is notable for Derrick Henry's upside. I think with Dontrell Hilliard out, you see Derrick Henry get a few more passing attempts in this game. I think he might even be worth buying up in DFS. Could be an absolute monster. Plus, I'm playing him in my biggest fantasy league, and I know he's going to go off, so I'm super excited there. Derwin James out, stud safety for the Chargers. That's a slight bump for a guy like Che Okongwu, who's not going to have to face Derwin James. Here's a couple key ones for that Tampa Bay Bucks game, Glass. Here's some shout-outs for you here. Mike Hilton is out today. That's the cornerback for the Bengals. That is actually, the slot cornerback for the Bengals. That's good news for Chris Godwin. This is a tough matchup for slot wide receivers. Overall, I do think it's still a tough day for Chris Godwin, but it's a slight feather in his cap with no Mike Hilton because also Trey Hendrickson, the best defensive end for the Cincinnati Bengals, will be out today as well. So that's good news for that really, really banged up Tampa Bay offensive line. Hayden Hurst out today. We also talked about a few times on this show that we think that maybe Tyler Boyd will get a few more looks playing that kind of hybrid slot / tight end role because of Hayden Hurst being out. Jamel Dean is out. That's one of the better outside cornerbacks. Probably good news for T. Higgins, probably over Jamar Chase because I expect them to use Davis to shadow Chase, but Chase should absolutely feast today in that game. But good news for T. Higgins if you need to start him. Carl Nassib and Vita Vea are both out. That's two of the top 5 defensive linemen for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Joe Mixon, let's do it. Obviously that's a really, really, when Vita Vea is out, that defensive line is not the same. So that's good news for Joe Mixon. Dory Jackson out. That's good news for Terry McLaurin and not me because I'm facing him also in that fantasy league. So please don't blow up. Tyler Larson, the starting center for the Commanders, is out today. That is tough news. Leonard Williams should be back for the defensive line. Let's go through a couple more of these. Marquise Copeland, Aaron Donald, both out today. So tough break. That's the defensive lineman for the Rams. They're also De'Aaron Robinson. That's a lot of people banged up. Aaron Jones, folks, in that Green Bay Packers run game should have a big day against that Rams front, who also missing David Long, but they will be down their defensive tackle for that game. All right, I got to go check the other. Let's start doing streamers here, folks. We got a couple streamers. I'm going to go check the rest. I saw James Robinson was inactive. Let me check the inactives, make anything else came up. Let's start with streamers of the week here, folks. So looks like we have a 5th person coming in here.
No, it's me.
All right. So let's start with Matt. Let's start QB streamer, player that pretty much widely owned, not owned, player that you would like to start in this week 15.
Mac Jones.
Okay. Gladys?
Brett Rippon.
Wow. Oh, geez. Oh, man. All right. Go ahead, Derek.
Wow, that just shook me there. I guess you wanted to shoot up there. You've got the tight end, and you want that. So yeah, I see you working there, Gladys.
Yep.
Now, while Mac Jones is my play, we already talked about that. I also think Herbert has a big game. Like last week, right at the end of the show, I said he comes back onto the map, and he did pretty well. I think that just continues to climb. I like Herbert as well as Mac Jones. Those are my 2 quarterback starts.
God, I hate this. I hate this. It's like, oh man, it's like the mind versus heart. My heart goes and my heart goes with Justin Fields. My head tells me Justin Herbert. I don't like it. I don't like what's going on here. Not a fan. I'm going to go Mac Jones as well.
Listen, it's easy. You just stop thinking.
It's not easy. You guys are, I think you're underestimating how much of a difference maker Justin Fields is. His worst week is like 20 points now because he just over the last 8 weeks he's been an absolute monster. But anyway, I get it. I understand. I'll probably start Herbert, and as soon as that doesn't work out, I will send nothing but angry messages towards the group. So we're all good. All right, running back, Matt, back to you, man.
Isaiah Pacheco, and it's not even close.
Woo! All right, I got Isaiah Pacheco. I'm into that.
But 1B is Zonovan Knight.
Yep.
Well, Matt, you must be looking at my sheet because I had Mac Jones and Isaiah Pacheco as my lead starts. But I also I mentioned him earlier. I like Brian Robinson a lot as well.
Just don't check for cameras in the room.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I guess that goes to me. I know it's probably a bad call, but I'm gonna go Darren Ukumubale. I think he's the guy I would probably feel the most call. I think that game flow, I think that the Dallas game set up the Chiefs for a better game because they saw what they did last week. They're not going to get caught off guard like the Dallas Cowboys were. Plus, now we saw the 2 QB thing. I think that kind of threw the team off a little bit. Jeff Driscoll coming in and kind of playing. By the way, I do want to say that last year it was Rex Burkhead that won people fantasy championships. Like he was a monster down the stretch because of the injuries, and he became the workhorse. So I think there's something there. I think he'll be a solid double-digit PPR asset this week. I'm going to go there. Matt, over to you for wide receiver.
For me, wide receiver is Elijah Moore. Corey Davis out. Zach Wilson probably feels like he has to get back in the good graces of the coaching staff. And with that, Elijah Moore complained and cried like all good receivers do. So I think that he's going to end up seeing a little bit more targets. And I think that Detroit will try to focus their coverage on Garrett Wilson. So give me Elijah Moore.
Gladys, over to you.
Terrace Marshall against Steelers. DJ Moore banged up a little bit.
I like it. Derek?
Yeah, no, kudos to you, Gladys, because I was going to come off the side ropes with Terrence Marshall as well
Side ropes
on that. So yeah, that makes me feel better. I'll probably use him in DFS.
I have him in DFS.
I also we talked about Chris Moore, we talked about Zay Jones, Christian Watson, but Mike Williams anytime touchdown today. I like Mike Williams for a touchdown.
God,
Paired with Justin Herbert.
And I will tell you, the start your studs bench of the week is Mike Evans.
Nope, not doing it.
What are your options?
What a weird
season.
What a weird season for him, man. It has been super strange. Like it doesn't make any sense how bad they've been together.
It does not.
I actually am going to go with Matt Collins. I think today the Raiders are at home. They have their full assortment of players. I think that they're going to try to take Devontae Adams out, but they have struggled against perimeter receivers. I think that Matt Collins gets loose for a long one, and he does a pretty solid day. All right, last one, guys, tight end. Go ahead. Matt, hit it up.
We already talked about him. For me, it's either Hunter Henry or Dulcich. Dulcich should be added or owned, rostered, whatever the right term is in most of these leagues. So since I think he should be, give me Hunter Henry.
Gladys?
Tyler Conklin, Jets.
Who lives in my waiver article, by the way. He pays rent there.
Is it expensive? Like what are we like? Is it like Kansas rent or is it like California rent? Because that's pretty big difference.
That's a huge difference.
It's like Section 8.
Oh, okay. Not bad. All right. Good for him. Anyway, go ahead, Derek.
Yeah, Hunter Henry as well for me. I really like him. I think Dalton Schultz has a really good, solid game. And just to stick it to you one more time, Bobby, sorry, but Gerald Everett teamed with Justin Herbert has a big game today.
I have Gerald Everett and Mike Williams, and I don't really hate what you're saying. But deep down, I know that I'm going to have to start Justin Herbert over Justin Fields, and Justin Fields he just makes me feel good about things. So I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna go Chea Kongwu this week. I think he's definitely gonna keep it going. I'm definitely not worried about. I think that Chargers team is gonna put up points. I think that'll be a fun game. I think Derrick Henry is gonna eat, but I do think that the Chargers understand that they cannot let Derrick Henry beat them. No Derwin James does help Chea Kongwu. No Traylon Burks help Chea Kongwu. But here's a deep name, a Hail Mary name that everyone should know. Jeff Driscoll, by the way, who's a quarterback, is tight end eligible on Yahoo. So if you want to get real weird, Jeff Driscoll last week had like a combination of like double-digit points, scored throw a passing touchdown. He is tight end eligible on Yahoo. So if you really want to get deep, he's like the poor man's Taysom Hill. So there you go. All
Hey,
right.
Are Tennessee and Chargers both in the playoffs? Can they both make the playoffs if they went out?
Yeah, they're
Okay.
both on track. Yeah.
Okay.
Call their own destiny. All right. D's nuts. Always a pleasure, sir. Good to have you back on. He's got a couple questions here for us. We have Olave or Evans for the flex. And then you also have Cole Kmet or Okongwu. Ooh, that's going to be a tough one. All right, D's nuts. Let's start with this first one. Let's do the wide receiver question first. Olave or Evans in the flex? Gladys, down to you first.
I'm going to go Olave. Saints are scoring 6.8 more points at home than they are away from home. And Evans just doesn't have although I'm going to play him, he doesn't have that connection with Brady that we hope that he has, although, at any time he could break out, but Olave's your safer bet. I'm going to go, the Phillies defense is no joke as far as the secondary, even with what's his face gone? Who's Johnson, who just left with a lacerated kidney?
Oh, Sidney Gardner-Johnson?
Yeah, even with Sidney Gardner-Johnson out, they're still really, really good. And I don't think that I think it'd be a Justin Fields day. I don't think it'd be anyone else's day on that team. So I'm going with Okongwu.
All right, we'll answer both. Matt, you next.
Oh, was I only supposed to answer one?
Gladys said we're going rogue. Don't worry about it. Matt, go ahead.
Olave and Kmet for me.
Derek?
Yeah, I'm going to go Olave as well. He doesn't have a great matchup, but we just can't. I mean, if our playoff season's on the line, can we really trust Evans if we have another option? If he's the guy we have to play, then we're closing our eyes, crossing our fingers, and hoping he resurrects. But if you've got another option, you're going there. So in this case, Olave for me. Cole Kmet, no. Learn to say Okongwu, Matt. Cole Kmet has an awful matchup against the Philly D today.
I don't want to be accused of never taking a Bears player, so I take Cole Kmet one time. What do you want to do?
Bobby already talked about Okongwu and why he has merit. I'm by far taking Okongwu over Kmet today.
Then I change my opinion. I go with Okongwu, never Bears. There we go.
Thanks for the text, Matt. Appreciate it. The visuals helps me make my decision. I'm gonna go Evans actually here. The Cincinnati's gonna be missing one of the defensive ends. I just think that the Cincinnati offense, I want that. I want that option of the Bengals offense blowing up. Tom Brady has to throw the ball 40, 50 times, and Evans will just there's no Mike Hilton. There's no Chijobi Awuzie. There's no Trey Hendrickson. I just think that Evans will be all right. They are technically a slot out wide defense. I mean, a funnel defense to the out wide. So I'm okay. I'm going to take my shot there. Atlanta's been oddly good against wide receivers over the last 6 weeks. I don't know why exactly. And that Ritter situation, I'm not even sure what's going on. So I'm going to go the Evans. And then I'm going to go Okongwu, my sleeper of the week. I could have chose Cole Kmet. I went Okongwu. I think that's the way to go there as well. All right, we got through the sleepers. We got through the questions. We have gone through the injuries.
And look at that.
I don't know,
Bob. Look at how nice D's Nuts was. He's never salty on this show. Never salty. Always nice.
That's okay. So that's a salty nut show. This show, we've had a couple comments today. Very, very strange comments, but that's okay. So we have a couple minutes before we close the show. Let's do final thoughts here before we close out. If any questions come in, we'll keep going. But let's round up a little early today. It's the first week. I got to crack a beer and just, stress out about Justin Fields and Herbert for the next 45 minutes. Go ahead, Matt. Tell us your final thoughts for the week. Any things? Let's do bold predictions and crazy calls. Maybe got a bold prediction, Matt. Go ahead.
The bold prediction is the Los Angeles Chargers defense will win your league.
Gladys, any bold predictions or crazy calls?
The Houston Texans defense will score 25 points today.
What? That is bold and crazy. Bold and crazy. Derek, go ahead.
I don't think I can top that.
No, I don't think anybody could.
My bold prediction is going to be that the Lions beat the Jets on the road and continue their march to the playoffs.
And then everyone would hate Zach Wilson. That's a bad bold prediction. You want everyone to hate Zach Wilson. They'll all blame him. He'll throw for like 3 touchdowns. They'll lose the game, and it'd still be his fault.
I want to see a first-round matchup where the Lions go in and upset a division winner.
That would be awesome.
In the first round of the playoffs. That's what I want to see. I want to see the Lions make a run. But they've got to win. They've got to win today to have a realistic chance to doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Where is the? I need to find something here. I asked the question and I don't even know what I want to say.
Because my bold prediction threw you off.
That's true. That was true. I don't even know if they're bold, but I really like James Conner today. I think he could be like a top 5 running back. Miles Sanders too, but I like James Conner the most. I'm going to say Greg Dulcich. Even with Brett Rippon against that Arizona defense, has a solid day. I think he's a solid top 10 tight end this week against Arizona. I think he definitely is someone you want to play if you have an option. You know, those young quarterbacks, backup quarterbacks, he ain't going to be chucking it downfield too much, I don't think. I think Greg Dulcich has a nice PPR day. All right, I think that's all we got today, folks. I think that's pretty much – it's been a great show. I do appreciate everybody jumping on, answering these questions. First week of the fantasy playoffs. Matt, enjoy your buys. Have a relaxing day. I'm going to stress out about my start-sit question. So I know I got to start Justin Herbert, which is just awful, versus Justin Fields. Anybody sitting Amon-Ra St. Brown against the Jets today? You're sitting him. Gladys, give me your case. Give me the case for sitting Amon-Ra.
On away games, Jared Goff has 2 touchdowns and 9 interceptions.
Oh, he's so bad.
He's so bad on away games. He's so bad outside. Leonard Williams is back, which means he's going to be so bad against pressure. Amon-Ra doesn't have a chance. It's going to be DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams running the ball, trying to get the ball out. And then one long throw to the other Williams for a touchdown. I think Amon-Ra is going to be like the missing man in that, because they're just not going to let Amon-Ra beat them. The Jets defense is legit. It's seriously legit away and at home. Jared Goff seriously sucks away. It just doesn't equal out for me. But then again, I did play Alex Spears yesterday, so you maybe shouldn't listen to me.
I can't wait with this. Honestly, I got to tell you, Amon-Ra St. Brown, I'm closing my eyes. I'm playing him.
Yeah, you should.
If you look at who beats the Jets, it's been like those hybrid slot guys. Like Jacoby Myers had a really good game against them a couple weeks ago. And, you know, Amon-Ra plays enough. He'll get away from Sauce Gardner enough. And the other really good, Reed, on the outside.
DJ.
I know they have Michael Carter in the slot. It's okay, but I think that you really just want to get away from Sauce. And I think he will play enough on the inside. Plus, with Jameson Williams and DJ Chark now healthy, there's threats now to take the attention away from him. So, please, God, make it good. All right, that's all I got. That's all we got for today. Anybody else? Final thoughts before we close the show? No.
My end of show last week was Russ Wilson, 270 and 3 touchdowns, and you all scoffed at me. I'm here to field apologies.
No, unless it's to Justin Fields.
Never field. This is a never field.
All right, listen, I'm going to tell you. Listen, I'm telling you right now, Justin Fields will still be a top 10 QB this week. I don't care. If I didn't have Justin freaking Herbert on my team too, you know what? Whatever. I'm done. That's it, folks. That's the Sunday Live first week of the playoffs. Everyone have a great day. Make sure you check your lineups. Have a great time. Crack open a cold one if you're 21 or older. Stay away from anything that's illegal paraphernalia today, folks. You don't want to get involved with that stuff. But anyway, that's a PSA. Make sure you join us again. We'll be here all the rest of the season long, probably even on week 18 when you psychos who play in week 18 will jump on for 30 minutes to an hour to help you with start-sit question, because I love seeing these beautiful faces. Once again, make sure you follow everybody. Matthew Styles. You got Matt Styles at Styles08 on Twitter. Derek_Favorite on Twitter. Gladys L. Tyler on Twitter, and myself at Bobby Lamarco on Twitter. Make sure you check us out on Razzball.com and subscribe. Leave a comment. Come on the Razzball Fantasy. We're going to be here all off season long. I'm going to drag all 3 of these people onto the podcast at least once in a while, all off season long. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks for joining again. We are out of here.